So let's just be real. The Sixers roster right now lacks three-point shooting. They are ranked 28th in the NBA in three-point percentage, 32% from deep, next to tanking teams like the Pelicans, Wizards. But there are two other successful teams at the bottom of the barrel in this category, the Houston Rockets and the Orlando Magic. Those teams are all about defense. That's their identity. The Sixers need to buy into being a defensive-first team. Despite all the injuries, the lack of chemistry, somehow the Sixers are 12th in defensive rating over the season, just barely behind the Heat and the Celtics. And in the last 5 games where the Sixers are 4-1, they are the number 2 ranked defense. Now, they haven't played the best competition, but it's still impressive to hold opponents to an average of 100 points per game in the modern NBA. And the most impressive defensive performance, I'd say, is holding the Bulls to 100 points. They are ranked 11th in the league in offensive rating. Let me read you their last couple offensive performances. 129 points versus the Celtics, 128 points versus the Nets, 139 points versus the Spurs, 123 points versus the Pacers, then 100 points versus the Sixers. They are a below average team, don't get me wrong, but they can put up buckets. So basically what I'm saying is this team has defensive potential if they can consistently stay healthy. And even if they can't, they're still a solid defensive team. And a Nick Nurse effect that we are witnessing happening is creating turnovers. The Sixers are elite at this. Opponents have been averaging 17.5 turnovers per game. The Sixers rank 2nd in the NBA for that category. The only team better is the historic defense that is taking place in Oklahoma City. Tyrese Maxey is a big reason for this. Among players who have played 10-plus games, he's 6th in the NBA overall for steals per game, averaging 2 a game. And an underrated aspect of why the Sixers have been competing more compared to the beginning of the season is because Maxey is clearly bought in defensively. I mean, he was terrible defensively at the beginning of the season. A serious liability, and lately he's putting way more effort in, and low-key, it could be affecting his offensive production. But this is what the Sixers need. You saw him get switched on to Franz Wagner, a 6'10 small forward, and hold his own. He's switching consistently onto bigger guys, and the Sixers are getting away with it. The Sixers right now have 6 players averaging above 1 steal per game. Only 2 other notable teams are doing that, Clippers and the Miami Heat. Tyrese Maxey leads the team with 2. Then you have Paul George with 1.8, Andre Drummond 1.4, Kelly Oubre 1.3. Lastly, Kyle Lowry and Caleb Martin with 1 steal per game. The Sixers are also 8th in the league in deflections per game. Paul George leads the team with 3.4 deflections per game. That actually is tied for 10th in the NBA. And among forwards, that's top 5 in the NBA. Kelly Oubre also averages 3.1 deflections per game. He also leads the team by far with 69 total deflections. And that's top 3 among forwards. And then right behind them is Tyrese Maxey with 2.6 deflections per game. Then you got Drummond, 2.1. Then 4 more players, Kyle, Caleb, Gershon, McCain, and Embiid, all averaging at least 1 deflection per game. And this is a big part of the Sixers offense so far. 19 points off turnovers per game, which is 7th in the league. However, fast break points, they are only 20th. The Sixers can improve at scoring in transition, in my opinion. And if their defense keeps this up, they will have ample opportunity to do so. But I personally don't trust many players to finish in transition consistently if the defense gets back. Also, as many of you know, the Sixers have to clean up the rebounding issue. They have a 47.7 rebounding percentage, second last in the NBA, worse than the Sixers last season. They had a 49.3 rebounding percentage. The problem is finishing possessions, 25th in the NBA in defensive rebounding percentage. Meanwhile, they're actually pretty good at getting offensive rebounds in extra possessions, number 10 in offensive rebounding percentage. Hopefully, if Joel Embiid is consistently in the lineup, they can organically improve this over the season because it's not good enough right now, and it's just wasting good defense. So I found something in terms of lineups that is going to hurt while I break it down, but after I'll explain why I think this low key is a blessing. So let's take a look at the most played Sixers lineups this season. Yes, you guessed it. Kyle Lowry is in the most played Sixer lineup. 47 minutes played. Kyle Lowry, Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre, Caleb Martin, Andre Drummond, 90.5 offensive rating. Dear Lord, that's bad. Well, at least they're good defensively. 106.1 defensive rating. Oh no, Kyle Lowry's in the second unit as well. 36 minutes played. Kyle Lowry, Jared McCain, Paul George, Caleb Martin, Joel Embiid. A little better, 96.1 offensive rating, 105.4 defensive rating. Now we're going to the third most played lineup, 34 minutes. Oh no, Eric Gordon is involved. This can't be good. Tyrese Maxey, Eric Gordon, Kelly Oubre, Caleb Martin, Andre Drummond. 97.2 offensive rating and a disturbing 116.9 defensive rating, negative 19.7 net rating. So the three most played lineups so far this season clearly are not working. If I were to point blame to some people, I would say Kyle Lowry is annoying. Also, just the chemistry not being there. Also, Eric Gordon stinks. And I would also say Caleb Martin is underperforming. He doesn't fit the team. He can't really shoot anymore. Hopefully, it's because of an injury and not just because this is who he is on the Sixers. But overall, Caleb Martin has not been good in any lineup, and he's kind of tanking lineups, in my opinion. Finally, we get a good lineup, 32 minutes total. Maxey, Oubre, KJ Martin, Paul George, Yabusele, 123.8 offensive rating, 108.1 defensive rating, which would be a plus 15.7 net rating. The point is, this season, due to injuries, and also I think Nick Nurse just trying to figure out who's playable, who works well together, the Sixers have been putting out bad lineups on the court. And moving forward, hopefully Nick Nurse makes the adjustments to play more cohesive lineups due to everyone pretty much being somewhat healthy. I can't expect Embiid to be there game by game, but with the scheduling getting easy with all this rest in between the games, I think we can rely on Paul George being there for like the next 5 games. Also, something to keep an eye on is this lineup has only played 12 minutes together, but it had a ton of success. Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, Paul George, Kelly Oubre, and Joel Embiid. 124 offensive rating, 78 defensive rating. If I was Nick Nurse, I would not have Lowry and Eric Gordon in the rotation anymore if everyone is healthy, and I would cut back the minutes of Caleb Martin. Let me know your thoughts below.